morning and welcome to Cover 2 Cook. We are on episode 68. We're going to be talking about the national championship. Today is January 20th. It is the day we've been waiting for. If you've been a Notre Dame fan, it's just now the time has come. Is it going to be the outcome we want? I don't know, but we got to talk about how we became Notre Dame fans. So to start us off, I got my co-host here live in person. We're going to watch this game. We are going to do a Facebook Live later today, so please keep in touch. But Mr. Tim Cook, how did you become a Notre Dame fan?
I think this was probably back, when I started watching football back in the 80s, I really wasn't much of a fan I was more baseball.
Yeah.
So now I'm more, back in the 80s, I kind of went with Denver, and pro football. But I think it was right around when they won that national championship back in 88 is when I kind of jumped on at that time. So, I was, like I said, I was more of a baseball fan. I didn't really get into football. And then I had friends that were part of Notre Dame. And then that's when it kind of snowballed and, we went to games and everything. And it just that's when I kind of really got into it.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this right off the bat too. I think, not to toot my own horn, but I think I changed you into a Notre Dame fan as well. It was one of these things when I grew up, it was NBC. I will say that has grabbed so many fans is being an NBC on every Saturday because that was before the SEC network. That was before the Big Ten network. That's before ESPN had college football. It was a game every Saturday that I could almost count on if they were home.
Right.
Add to that, obviously, you see the Rudy movie. You think as a small-town kid, that's how you're going to go D1. And then I think the love-hate. You either loved him or you hated him.
Yep.
And I wanted to be a part of the love. I also think the gold helmets. That was just so cool, right? Because you got to think that was before Oregon had all these different jerseys and all that. It was just the commitment to it. I understand people that are Penn State fans having the white helmet, Ohio State having the Buckeye. I get all that stuff. I do.
Scarlet and gray.
But it was that gold helmet that just made it. And then growing up, obviously having Brady Quinn, Jeff Samardzija, seeing Manti Te'o have his years, and all the guys that came after that, Ian Book and players like that. We talked about Barstool Chief, the wide receivers. Yeah. Just the amount of NFL wide receivers that we had through our time. At one point, Jeff Samardzija was the best wide receiver in Chicago playing for a baseball team.
Yeah.
It was just, I think when you look at it, it was a love-hate. Now, there's been times where I've kind of pulled back a little bit, and that's on me because they just haven't had the greatest seasons.
Right.
And being independent, that happens. But this year, it's been a roller coaster. I asked Barstool Chief this question, but I'm going to ask you, what game do you feel like changed this year? What game led us to be a good playoff team and a team to make it to the national championship?
I don't know if it's a certain game. I think it's more of just how they were playing throughout the season.
Yeah.
They were starting to pull away from teams. Navy, Virginia. They started beating teams like they should. If you want to contend for a national championship, you've got to beat the teams and beat them hard and sound. Yeah. I don't know if it's just one game. It just seemed like they were just kept going up.
Yeah.
They Freeman came from Ohio State. He believes in just keep the hammer down. You keep playing every play.
Yeah.
And I think that was the big key. Like I said, I don't think it's just one game. I think the host after the NIU, they responded. Yeah. And they responded hard. And I think they just kept going. Even the last game, USC. They get close. USC gets close, and you're like, oh, here we go. This is the one game we always go out west, and we shit the bed, and they didn't. They responded with their defense, and that's what's got them in this playoffs. It's their defense.
Oh, I totally agree, and I asked that question because we've always waited for a national championship. Obviously we've made playoff runs. We've been in the Final Four.
Right.
We played Clemson one year, lost that one, which Clemson went on to win it. So and then you play who else did we play? We played another team, but we lost. And it's like one of these things where, you make it 2012, but that was back when the committee selected the two winners.
Right.
And this year, it just it felt like if we don't lose that NIU, right, I think this whole thing becomes different. And why I say that is because, you see Ohio State in the championship. Michigan changed their trajectory.
Yeah.
If they don't lose in Michigan, I don't know if they make it to the national championship.
Yeah.
They knew what roster they had, but they think they knew that they had to play a certain way to win games.
Right.
And I think it changed the coaching staff, not just players, but coaching staff.
Right.
Chip Kelly's in his bag now, but it was one of these things where was that all year?
Yeah.
And then we'll see tonight on this game because Howard, when the game's on the line, Howard has, and the playoffs played well, but Michigan was an awful game for him. Yeah. So, but when I look at Notre Dame's year, if they don't lose in Northern Illinois, I don't think they start going for it on fourth down. I don't think they start doing some of these trick plays on special teams. I don't think they keep their starters in at the end of the game. They had to blow these teams out to show that they deserve to be in the playoffs, but I also think it gave them that momentum at the same time. If they lose a game like USC, they're not in the playoffs. Or if they are, they're 11 seed. I think that was the thing on them was when they lost, it was good because it was the second game of the year. They could bounce back. They lost the game.
They had enough of a season to bounce back.
If they would have lost one at the end of the year, it would have been a bad blunder. That would have said why they don't deserve to be in there. Because you don't have that conference championship and things like that too. I do, and I think this year we've looked at a team that's went on a roller coaster. I mean, you got to think about it. We've done just 68 episodes. We've done a lot of games where we've talked about Notre Dame, and we haven't talked to them in good light. I mean, Riley Leonard has been an up-and-down guy for us because of his performance. Outside of this year, can you remember a guy that you hated the whole year? Because, I mean, even when you go back to Ian Book just played good. Like, we didn't have to worry. Hartman just played Hartman. But I can't remember, like, Brady Quinn, I loved him the whole time, right? And we won, so that never had a problem. But Riley Leonard, even when I watch him, and tonight on the live, there's going to be times where I'm like, damn it, Riley. Because I just feel like there's the running quarterback first and the passing quarterback second. But can you remember a player that love-hate? For Notre Dame, at least.
No, I mean, it's like, what? Yeah, I really don't. I mean, I don't. Why a running back? No, I mean, it's just like sometimes Ian Book would make bad decisions too. I mean, he would throw left-handed sometimes, and like, what are you doing? Just take the sack and play for the next play. And it's just like, what, you know. But I think that was a little bit what the coaching said with Freeman or with Kelly, and then maybe he was afraid he was going to get his butt chewed when he got off to the sideline. So. Yeah,
and actually, as we were just talking about it, I thought of one person. That was Tommy Rees. Tommy Rees was like, you thought you had the potential, but at the same time, he just wasn't an NFL quarterback. So there was times where he made plays, and you're like, damn, here we go. And then the next play, he would do something stupid. It's like, what are we doing? And then, you know, the other question I wanted to ask that we asked Barstool Chief was, you know, do we think that Notre Dame's going to eventually, and when I asked Barstool Chief, he kind of went a different way on the question, but do you feel that at some point, we're going to have a passing quarterback first running as a complement? Or do you feel that Notre Dame in the future is just going to find a quarterback that wants to run first, but somewhat has an arm?
I think that running option still's got to be available, but I think you're going to have to get the ball down the field.
Yeah.
You watched Saturday night, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
That man, when he needed to run, he could run, but he could also throw the ball, and he was throwing dimes Saturday night. So I think you're going to have a mixture of both.
Yeah.
I don't think the pocket quarterback is done.
Yeah, the big mandates are gone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've got to have somebody that can run when they need to run, and also get the ball down the field too. And that's one thing that we don't, not to say but is one of Riley's hiccups is he can't get the ball down the field.
Yeah.
He can't throw the 50, 60-yard, even a 40-yard pass unless somebody falls down like Penn State. But he cannot get the ball down the field. He just don't have the arm strength.
Yeah, and I think we wish we had Hartman's arm with Riley's legs.
Yes.
I mean, it was kind of one of those things.
Yeah.
And you do. I mean, Ian Book kind of took off running.
Yeah.
But why I ask this question is because Notre Dame has dominated the run, which you saw a team like Ravens, you know, being very dominant on the run, struggle when they got behind.
Right.
Today, I do feel that Ohio State is going to jump out to a lead. That's the only way Notre Dame stays in this game is they limit the explosiveness in the beginning of this game.
Yeah.
If they don't and they get behind, Notre Dame is going to struggle because they need to run the ball to get down the field. That's because their offense has always, and we talked about this, Notre Dame's offense has always been a run-first offense. The game has changed. And not just all season, but I mean the past 10 years.
Yeah.
They want to run the ball. I mean, look at our NFL running backs now. Like, you know, you got Kyron Williams. Yeah. That was a Notre Dame guy.
Estimate.
Yeah, estimate, yes.
Yeah.
So you look at this, and it's like, I feel like the changes have to happen.
Right.
Like, we have to get a quarterback. And I think Arch is a great example, right?
Right.
But we also haven't seen that guy play. So let's just pump the brakes on how much he's going to be. Right. But I do think of Jaden Daniels. I think an Anthony Richardson back when he played for Florida. I think you're going to need a quarterback that has a huge arm to get the ball down the field, but can run. Because we will always do the quarterback runs. We will always do read options. We'll always do that because we have the running backs to do it. And when you have Jeremiah Love coming back, he's going to be a vocal point in that offense next year. So you need a quarterback that knows that handing the ball off is good, but sometimes holding it and going for his way too. So we'll see. I just think this year that's the thing we've been lacking all year is a quarterback that can get the ball down the field.
Right. I agree.
So yeah, we asked Barstool Chief for these questions, and I think and one funny one we kind of talked about yesterday was that Brian Kelly, love hate right there,
right?
That he had Jane Daniels, Malik Neighbors, and Brian Thomas Jr. And didn't make the playoffs. Didn't make the playoffs. Now you look at the mock draft, and Notre Dame has one guy going first round and winning the national championship. So, and I want to say this too, as a Notre Dame fan, I've heard this shit about Cam Newton's comments, Stephen A. Smith's comments, and all these things because we were watching this morning talking about who needs this game more, Ohio State or Notre Dame. And my belief is, I believe that Ohio State needs this game more than Notre Dame does because Notre Dame fans will be loyal no matter what. We're the lovable losers, right? We usually lose these games, so we're okay with it. But we'll be back next year. We'll pay the ticket prices. We'll go see it. Ohio State needs it because at one point, Ryan Day's job was on the line. But if you go win us a national championship, we'll be fine. So if you lose today, are we talking back about Ryan Day? And I think it's almost a lose-lose for Notre Dame because if they win, well, Ohio State lost in the game. No, Notre Dame deserved this win. And I'm tired of this. People being like, well, they didn't win a conference or they didn't play for a conference championship. We beat your conference champions. We beat your Georgia that was SEC conference champion. We beat Penn State, who played as a runner-up in the Big Ten championship. And if we beat Ohio State, which I think all year, I know they lost at Oregon, Ohio State has been the best Big Ten school this whole year.
I agree.
So if they beat them, like what can you say? Now, if Notre Dame wins, it changes the trajectory of what this program's going to be. I mean, it's just the recruits that are going to be able to come in there. But Notre Dame will always have that problem with the academic. I don't know if we can pull in that 5-star, that one, that unicorn, because he's going to have to also be academically. But
I think also, here's another question I think has been thrown out there too is, does this change the way Notre Dame has to join a conference or not? If they win, does that now make a big difference in joining the conference? Because I think if they didn't do so well in this deal, in this playoff, I think eventually they were going to have to. I think if they win today, who's to say they need to now?
Well, and we've talked about that. Me and you have talked about it. We both have been on the side of joining a conference.
I was. Big Ten made the most sense of joining. Now, maybe not. Maybe not.
See, and I think the Big Ten makes because of where it's at geographically.
But
they also have USC. So, I mean, it's UCLA. They have. So it doesn't make – geographically, the conferences don't make sense anymore.
No.
I think their best conference to join is ACC. Because who? We already played 4 teams this year, ACC. We beat them all easily. Going into, you play Clemson maybe? Is Clemson going to rebound after now making the playoffs? But they got blown out in the playoffs? I think ACC makes the most sense for them. But I agree with you. I actually think win or lose, it makes no sense going in a conference. Because the one thing I looked at is the money. The money with when they got this far is $20 million to make it to the national championship combined from winning those games. You split that between your conference. So Ohio State is giving money to Northwestern or giving a portion of their winnings to Northwestern.
Maryland.
That did nothing all year. Rutgers that did nothing all year. While Notre Dame is taking that money and being able to distribute it throughout all NIL. So, yes, women's basketball to lacrosse, which they're really good at, too. That might be a nice little money they get on eventually, too. But wait, they're in a conference. The only thing that's not in a conference is football. So, I think that's where eventually I do think they will go to a conference. It just now delays it. I think it delays it now even more.
I totally agree. I think also, too, they just don't need – they still have MVC. Now, that contract is coming up soon. And, that was one of the biggest deals about the playoffs is you had to get a bye, you had to win your conference championship. Okay. Well, I think that rule's going to change. I think you're going to get – I don't think – it's not going to change next year. I've already seen reports. It won't change until 2026 when they may expand to 14 teams. So I don't think that's going to change until then, but I think it's got to change. This playoff, you got to have your top 4 seeds get a bye as the 4 best teams. Now who wins the conference championship? I'm totally.
Yeah, but if you are playing for a conference championship, why would you want it?
Right.
We just saw this past year that all 4 teams lost. Why would you want that?
Right.
And on the other end, for Notre Dame, I feel that them playing through all this stuff has helped them get to where they are.
Right.
If they don't play Indiana at Notre Dame and get that fired upness, I don't know if they beat Georgia. Like, I don't know if they go that way. So I agree, but if Notre Dame is in that aspect, they kind of fuel Notre Dame to stay independent with what they did with this year alone.
Right.
So I definitely agree. But we got to talk about the game, right? We got Ohio State versus Notre Dame tonight. Sitting here just waiting. I mean, it's we're recording at like 10 o'clock. So, the game don't happen until 6:30 tonight. Just waiting for this. We've been waiting since we beat Penn State. You look back at that Penn State game, though. There's things that Notre Dame did not do well that they'll have to do almost damn near perfect against Ohio State to win this game.
Yeah.
And that is keeping the big plays to a minimum, which they did against Penn State. Yeah. But Penn State made a lot of mistakes. They have to make Will Howard make mistakes. Yeah. I think Howard was great all year for Penn State, not making mistakes, but he made a lot of mistakes against Notre Dame. Now, is it because he played bad, or is it because Notre Dame's defense made him play bad?
Right.
A lot of people want to bring up the play with the running back going out of the backfield. He had pressure on him.
Right.
That play that he throws the interception at the end of the game, pretty much, he had pressure coming up the middle.
Yeah.
Notre Dame's defense is make their job, which every single game, and you can stat this, every single game they had a turnover. Every single game they caused a turnover. So what can they do against Ohio State? They got to cause turnovers.
Yep.
They have to make Will Howard play like he did against Michigan, against like he did in the first half of Indiana, against some of these games that we've seen him play struggle. Yep. But if you allow him to get into a repetition, this game will get out of hand real fast. Yeah. Real fast.
I think also, too, the running attack, the offense has got to – they can't go 3 and outs. They go 3 and outs and puts that Notre Dame's defense, they'll be gassed by the first half. And you don't want that because come second half, they'll blow them out. I mean, they'll get and also they're going to have to give help for Jeremiah Smith.
Yep.
They've got to give help. I know they play man-to-man, but you're going to have to give help. I mean, Texas did a really good job. What, he had 1 reception?
Yep.
I mean, they have got to give help and put pressure on Will Howard. Also, too, I think the running attack of Leonard, Price, and what's the other one? Leonard, Price, and Love. Yep. They're going to have to have monster games. I mean, games that, the best games they've ever had this year for them to be in it.
See, I actually think you're going to come out the opposite way. And what I think is if you're Notre Dame, you come into this game, start passing the ball. Make you fearful that they can throw the ball because then that opens up the run. Ohio State knows they're going to run the ball. Ohio State knows that they're going to stack the box. I would. If I was Ohio State, I'd stack the box right off the bat. You are not going to beat us with the run.
And I don't think Ohio State blitzes a whole hell of a lot either.
Well, they don't have to. Right. They don't have to with their type of D-line. Right. So, and the aspect of that, throw the ball. Now, do not do a 3-step drop. Do not do that. Right. Leonard is not that quarterback. Right. Bubbles, quick passes, hitches,
screens,
things like that. Yeah. You have to get the ball out of his hands fast to allow for our playmakers to make plays. I mean, that Gray House touch, or no, it's not Gray House, but I think it was Gray House that scored the touchdown.
Yeah.
That play is great because people fell down. Right. I get that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was a great ball at the same time.
Right.
So you
hit him in stride. I mean,
So you have to do stuff like that to start this game. If you're on Ohio State's side, you got to get out. I mean, you just got to get out to a lead. Because if you let Notre Dame control the clock, you're going to lose this game.
Yeah.
And I definitely agree. Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has to get involved. He only had 1. They're going to get him involved. And I think what you're going to see is a lot of end arounds. He's going to get like the ball coming in motion. I think you're going to see screens with him because he's just too good not to get the ball.
Right.
And I think they're going to try to show their dominance in that on the outsides. So Notre Dame's DBs are going to have to step up, which they've played well.
Yeah.
But the linebackers are going to have to flow out there too and make plays too because these guys are good. They're going to make plays, and get after the quarterback. But at the same time,
and I think the Notre Dame's defense can shut down Junkins and Henderson.
Yeah.
I mean, if they shut them down and make them one-dimensional, I think they got a shot at this.
Yeah.
But they've got to control. Also, too, Ohio State's got to control the clock.
Yeah.
They got to run the ball. They've got to just pound on it. Get your third downs. Convert on that. Just like we've seen in the playoff game. Whether it's 10-play drive, the Chiefs and Texans.
Yeah.
10 plays, 75 yards, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to have to do. Keep Ohio State's offense off the field. Because if you do, and then they got, it could get nasty.
Well, and I think if Notre Dame wins this game, the thing we're going to be talking about after is that Notre Dame was able to run the ball and build momentum as the game went on. Because when everyone's fully healthy, Notre Dame, I think, is beat up front. But as that game keeps going on and the wear and tear and stuff like that, that's where Notre Dame, that second half, usually comes out with an explosive play. With a big run by, Love or Leonard or Price or whatever. Faison. I mean, watch out for Faison in this game.
Yeah.
I think that's where you're going to see it. But if you don't get these long plays and you don't put the wear and tear on the defense, it is one of these things where Ohio State's going to do it to your defense.
Yeah.
So it's a dominance thing. I think when you come to physicality, Notre Dame's got it. Notre Dame is the most physical team in college football.
Right.
And so no matter the size, the one thing I am nervous about going into this game is O-line for Ohio State is big. They're big and fast.
Right.
Our D-line is smaller but agile.
Right.
So we have to control that. You cannot let the linemen get to the linebackers because then that means the second layer is already getting blocked for the running backs to go. So if they do break it past that second layer, all you got is safeties back there to get them.
Right.
And that makes me nervous because you saw Henderson take that screen pass.
Yeah.
He fast.
Yeah.
He fast. He made fast people not look so fast.
Yeah,
right. So
exactly.
I think when you look at this game, you're going to see that. But I, as a Notre Dame fan, I'm here saying win or lose.
Right.
Like I'm not. I would love for them to win.
I would too.
I mean, I would. If I'm asking for one team to do anything, I'm asking for Notre Dame.
All of our teams.
Yeah,
this year.
I'm just asking for Notre Dame to
Yeah.
win.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think what we are seeing is a culture change in Notre Dame. I think Freeman's got him on the right track.
Yeah.
I think the NIL has changed the landscape. I think the transfer portal has changed the landscape of everything in college football.
I agree.
And I think Notre Dame is more susceptible to be able to win big games like this going forward. But I do not want to hear in the offseason, because I will tell you, I'm going to get old. It's going to get old very fast, that they didn't deserve to be in this national championship. Win or lose.
Right.
They didn't deserve because they won the games.
Right.
So.
Well, and I think you won't, if it's a close game, you won't hear that.
Yeah.
But if they get blown out, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did they play anybody? Blah, 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 blah. You can only play the teams that are in front of you.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. Another thing that's making me nervous is the injuries on the offensive line. Now, Knapp's going to be out again this time. So they're bringing in another kid that hasn't played since I think he got hurt the first game of the year.
Yeah, offseason. Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, that's going to be a big deal. The DBs, too, I think they have combined. Notre Dame has 38 sacks this year on the DNs. Ohio State's got 51.
Yeah.
That's going to be, that's going to be big, But here's another deal, too. Our DBs, as far as interceptions, we have 19 interceptions this year, which leads the NCAA.
Yeah. So, I
mean, Xavier Watts is a good player.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, even Gray making the play he did. He's made plays throughout the whole year like that. And I think it's going to come down to Notre Dame's middle linebackers or their linebackers, Kaiser and things like that. They're going to have to make plays. I mean, he made that hell of a play in the end zone. They called pass interference against him, whatever. But that's what's going to have to happen.
Yeah.
And the problem is when we played Penn State, we knew we had to shut down Tyler Warren.
Right.
Everything else was open. This game, you're going to have Ibuka. You're going to have that Smith. Mm-hmm. You're going to have that Cardell Tate.
Yep.
You're going to have Junkins out of the backfield. Yep. You're going to have Henderson out of the backfield.
That's tough.
You're not going to be able to just shut one player down and be able to dominate.
Right.
The whole defense is going to have to play out of their ass. But if there's one man that can lead them, I think it's Freeman.
Yeah, I think Freeman's going to have him ready to play. Yeah. I think this is going to be a low scoring, 20-17 kind of game. And that favors Notre Dame.
Yeah.
That favors Notre Dame. It gets up into the 30s.
Yeah.
I don't think they can score 30 points against Ohio State. I really don't.
No,
unless they could get pick sixes and turnovers.
Yeah.
And the turnovers have got to be scores.
Yeah. Not
just turn the ball over, driving down and kicking field goals. That's another deal to it. I've always said this in all the podcasts. Kicking field goals don't win you championships. When you get a turnover, you've got to punch it, especially Ohio State. You've got to punch it in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, field goals can win your games, so that's how we won against Penn State. But
I mean, you Ohio State's just that much. They're just playing that much better. You've got to take advantage of them.
Well, you can blink your eyes and they can score. That's just how quick they can do it. So I totally agree. And I think even if you get up, don't play this prevent.
Yeah.
Still play your defense. I know that Chip Kelly's been in his bag recently. But remember, he's been a coach that's kind of failed in the past.
Right.
Ryan,
yeah, what's he won? He's
yeah.
not won a whole lot.
And Ryan Day is kind of, and I think when you look at Freeman, there's a lot of talks, and we brought this up with Barstool Chief, that what is a coaching staff going to look like for Notre Dame next year?
Right.
It already sounds like the defense coordinator is going to take a job at the Bengals as a defense coordinator. So you're losing that unless we find a way to pay him more. Like I assume with that question that was asked on Saturday that him making it like kind of brushing it off, he's already made a decision.
Right.
So that kind of sucks. So it's all for it. My thing that worries me about this game is, can Leonard just settle down?
Right.
Can he just settle down and play the game for what it is? Play it for the love of it. Because when Leonard gets hyped up, we saw it against Penn State. He threw that first pass. It was way over the wide receiver right into there. You do shit like that, and we're going to lose. I mean, they got Josh Downs back there.
Caleb Downs.
Yes. Yeah, Josh. Yeah. Caleb Downs. He's a stud.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a part of that $20 million that they kept to bring back and blah, blah, blah. Like, so I just think you got to keep Will Howard on. You got to give him happy feet. Yeah. You got to make him think that he's got to get rid of the ball because someone's coming after him and make a play that doesn't need to be happening. Right. We just saw it, and we'll talk about it on Wednesday with the podcast, about Lamar Jackson. Yeah. Did he lose the game for the Ravens by doing too much? I feel like that's what I'm nervous about Leonard, is just do what the defense gives you. Don't do too much. Right. Because don't try to stretch out. Don't try to put the ball out. They're going to come and get it.
And that's how Josh Allen won last night.
Yeah.
Is he played like what the defense was giving him. That's what he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
no, I definitely agree. And it'll be fun. I think when we look at this, we will possibly talk about the national championship on Wednesday on our podcast, if depending on a close game. We will be doing the Facebook Live, so you'll get to see us as we're actually watching the game. Hopefully it's a good game. Hopefully we're able to talk it through. I do have that, and it's sad that we as fans are still doing it. And I said shame on us last podcast, but I think this 11-day hold, waiting for the national championship made us feel this way. But I'm just waiting for the shoe to drop, like you've said.
Yeah.
But just not this game. Like, I mean, I think I'll risk it to lose the next opening game next year to win this game. Right. Like, just because it changes the layout for them for the future. Yeah. I also think if it gets Freeman out there more now, because Barstool Chief said if we can get him for 5 years. If we win tonight, we're not getting him for 5 years. He's not staying for 5 years. No. He's going to get too much better opportunities in the NFL, whether that's offense or defense. I don't know if he'll get a head coaching job in the NFL.
Right.
Because
he's young. He's 39. He's only 39.
Well, and I
don't know I know the Rams took a shot at McVay at a younger age, but I just don't know.
And everyone's tried to do it since, and nobody's been successful.
Exactly.
But I also think that his problem too is he's not coaching for like Notre Dame, or I'm sorry, he's not coaching at like Alabama.
Right.
He's not coaching at LSU, where you get the little bit more of the respect of the NFL.
Right.
Notre Dame's a little bit different, but can we change that with a win today? So I definitely think it'll be a close game. I hope so. What are you betting on this game?
Oh, you would have to ask this, Anthony. I toiled
Don't
with it.
Don't even look at me when you talk right now. Don't even look at me.
I toiled with this, and I toiled with this. I really did. I drove up here 3 hours. I've been thinking about it for 11 days.
If you say Ohio State, I wish you were on the side of the road.
I think Notre Dame puts up a fight. But I think Notre Dame wins.
I do too.
I think they win. I think they I think they can pull it out.
Yeah.
I really do. I don't know. It's going to be a close game. So you know what? Give me Notre Dame. In previous podcasts, I liked Ohio State. I really did. Yeah. I think Ohio State can win and cover the spread, but something is just maybe it's destiny this year.
Yep.
So you know what? I'll take Notre Dame, and you can give me the 8.5.
Yep. I think that's a safe bet. I do, because even in a national championship game, I think it's gonna be close. So, and don't get me wrong, it could be a blowout, and you're like, oh, okay. But I think when you're looking at how the national championship, now the past national championships have been blowouts. It's been one team that's way better, but that was one game to get in.
Yeah.
This has been a lot more games to get into this national championship. These teams have proven where they deserve to be. And it would be different if Notre Dame beat Georgia to get in the national championship with the quarterback situation. Right. But then they beat Penn State. And then they, so like they had to do things like this. I think it's a safe bet. I think the riskier bet is go money line on Notre Dame. I just feel like the ball has bounced the right way for Notre Dame all year.
Yeah.
And I think, what's his name? The Kirk Herbstreit said it best. This game is going to come down to one big turnover. Now, he ain't going to say that today.
Right.
Because he's an Ohio State fan, so
Well,
he's
yeah,
going to talk
yeah.
the shit out of it.
Right.
So just get ready for all that shit. I'm going to tell you right now, College Game Day is going to be all up Ohio State's ass.
Right.
I mean, it's going to look like they're eating corn cobs, you know what I mean, because sucking so much. But
Right.
it's just, I think they're going to talk about, I think it's going to come down to one big turnover. And if it goes Notre Dame's way, that turnover, then they win this game. But if it goes Ohio State, that's how they're going to lose the game.
And I think another thing too, Notre Dame can't get down 3 scores.
Yeah.
We've talked about that in the other podcast with
17 points minimum, and they're done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. 3 scores, they'll be done.
Yeah.
They cannot. They're a team that's got to play ahead.
Yeah.
They have to play out ahead. Now, don't get me wrong. They were down 10-0 against Penn State. That's fine. And then they went down and scored that field goal. But they got to. They can't get down 17-0, or they're done. They're done because they're not a team built to come back.
Well, and you got to think Ohio State's defense is good enough
Yes.
to minimize big plays to happen.
Yep.
So they're just not going to allow that. They may play prevent, and you're going to see them drive down, but they're not going to break at the end. So I definitely agree. I think it's going to come down to Notre Dame getting out to a lead or slowing down Ohio State's start. If you're down 14, I think you're still in the game in the first half. If you're down 14, second half 14, it's going to be a lot. But in the first half, if you're down 14, I think you're still there. If Notre Dame gets out to a lead, I don't think it also says that they're going to win the game.
No, I don't
because
either.
I think Ohio State can come back and do
because
stuff.
that offense is too high powered.
Yeah.
I think another thing too could be a key is rust.
Yeah.
11 days off. That's almost 2 weeks. You can see during the regular season that when a team has after a bye week just in the NCAA, not the NFL. The NFL, they don't. It doesn't bother them one bit. But in the NCAA, after a bye, it seems like Notre Dame starts out slow.
Yeah.
And then they have to get the sweat going, get the moves going, and then they finally can turn it on. Usually it takes until the second quarter, but
Yeah. Well, and just to finish that up, I do think that the conversation recently has been why Will Howard has not been talked about in the NFL draft.
Right.
And he has heard that because I heard him on a press conference saying that, that just gives me more motivation. Buddy, try to do too much today.
Yeah.
And see what happens. Do that.
Right.
Please. I'm asking from Cover 2 Cook.
Yeah.
Try to do
Yeah.
that because I think if you try to do too much, we will capitalize on it.
Yeah.
And I say we because I've ride or died with these guys for
Right.
so freaking long that I just wanted to win. But come join us on the Facebook Live. We're going to be doing the Notre Dame Ohio State game. We will be on there for the whole game. So if you want to click in and out, definitely acceptable. If it gets to a blowout, we'll obviously still be on here. Either way, because if it's a Notre Dame blowout, it's going to be really good. But if it's Ohio State, we'll obviously still be talking. But we want to thank everyone for listening. This is the end of the college football season. We do want to recap this year and see what all came out. But crazy to think that on episode 68, we're finishing college football with this. And then obviously we still got a little bit more NFL.
Yep.
But it's almost that end of the year, so it kind of sucks. But we do want to thank everyone for definitely joining.
And please comment. And we'll answer your comments. If you've got comments or a question, please, we will respond. As soon as it comes out, we will respond. So please do that. That will get us more interactive to the game.
Yep. And we can talk about what we think at that time
Exactly.
too. So yeah.
Exactly.
And don't limit just to college football. Obviously, we'll talk a little NFL during it, but aim more towards college football, obviously. So we want to thank everyone. Have a great day. Enjoy your day off and watch the game with us tonight. Have a good night.